Hey everyone, today I want to talk about 5 lessons from Brian Michael Bendis' Words for Pictures for anyone who wants to get into comics or any sort of creative field. I found that this book was a great read, and your mileage may vary with it, of course, but if you haven't checked it out and you want to, there's a link to it in the show description. And now we're going to jump right on into these 5 lessons. The biggest one by far, and this is why it's the first one I wanted to bring up, is his point to create something that you would want to consume. So whether it's a comic book, a movie, a podcast, or even something like YouTube videos, if you want to create something, you are not going to be able to please everyone. You're just going to have to work on things that you enjoy, and then you will find your fan base through that. So for me, I try to think about this a lot when I am planning out videos or podcasts. Obviously, with Chat Cemetery, that's sort of a set thing because I'm talking about all things Stephen King. So there are books and TV shows and movies that I am going to talk about no matter what. But I have greatly enjoyed the process, which certainly makes it easier. And the same with this YouTube channel. So if you are wanting to be a creator of any kind, that is by far some of the biggest advice you can follow when starting out. Just start by making things you enjoy, things that you would watch, read, or listen to. But the second one is actually comics specific. This was something that I didn't know about when I first started reading, the comic scripts that are put in the backs of trades when they come out. And I'm someone who really, really loves process. So for me, I enjoy reading how things were made. I have the Art of Star Wars books, I have the Making of Alien book, and I just really love learning about people's processes. So to learn that comic book writers don't write the script for anyone else other than the artist or editor, really, I think is a very big lesson, because you aren't writing a comic script for your friends to read or your fans to read. You are writing it for the person you're collaborating with. And that is huge, because if you give someone a script that they aren't going to understand or know how to follow, and they break down full scripts versus Marvel style scripts in this, and it's very helpful because if, for instance, Brian Michael Bendis was working with an artist who did not like a Marvel style script and did not work well with that, if he just gave them one, might not work out. And he had plenty of anecdotes about how he would send too much information when he first started. But that kind of leads into the third key lesson here, which is to know how the people you're working with like to work. If you are sending them things they can't work with, it's not going to work out. And I'm someone who does things on my own a lot. For my podcast, I invite guests on. I don't have a co-host, but I used to have a music podcast where I did have 2 co-hosts and eventually 1 co-host by the end of it. But we had to work in a way that worked for all 3 of us. We had to find a time that worked. We had to have a Google Doc that worked for everyone, so everyone was on the same page. And without those things, collaboration just isn't going to work. And it's actually the same when I'm working on podcasts for different people. Some people track things in Asana. Some people don't track anything at all. And it's just kind of all on me to track what needs to get done. So I have to work based on what I'm given from other people and what work they've already put in on their end to sort of track progress and things like that. So that's definitely another big lesson from this book. And, lesson number 4 here is just be honest with how much you can take on. And that goes for literally anything. If you are a creator in your work life, and even in your personal life, don't make plans if you know you don't have time for them. So just be honest with what you are able to get done in the amount of time you have. I'm someone who is very bad at saying no to projects and clients and literally anything I want to do creatively. So for me, I have to schedule my day so that I know I'm, 1, getting all of my work done. That's the most important thing. 2, have time for things like this YouTube channel or my podcasts. And I really, really think that it is crucial to know how much time you have realistically to get things done. And the last lesson is scare yourself. And I had absolutely no interest in starting a YouTube channel when I first did this. I didn't like being on camera as a kid. I was someone who always ran away from cameras whenever someone took one out, and it was something that was a big hurdle for me to dive into. Podcasts are easier because it's just you talking and you're not necessarily on video unless you do have a video component. Then of course, there's that. But for my podcast, it's audio only, and I feel like that was actually a good stepping stone for me to get to videos. And I have ended up enjoying this process way more than I thought I would. So you sometimes have to do things that might seem scary to you or might intimidate you. And when I got to this part in the book, I think that was Brian Michael Bendis's point. It's not to do something that you really don't want to do. If you really don't want to do something, don't do it. But if you have an interest in something and you're just kind of scared to try it out, whether it is something, like I said, YouTube videos, a podcast, or if it's just writing a character in a way that you're not sure where it's going to go. And I think that was one of the main points of that comment in the book. And there are plenty of other lessons you can get out of this book, so I'll just give you a bonus one here. But in part of the book, he interviews his wife, and she talks about more of the business side of comics and how he was not very good with money or any of the financial or business things at the beginning, and she took that over. And one of the things she said was, don't be afraid to ask what the standards are for something, whether it's a standard rate or, just don't be afraid to ask questions about something you're working on, especially if it's with other people. You want to have all of the information you need going into it so that you aren't blindsided by something later. So there's a quick little bonus one there, but I really, really enjoyed this book. And if you are interested, especially in writing comics or even drawing comics, there's a lot of great information in this. He talks to editors as well. So if you aren't sure how to pitch your comic, definitely read that chapter probably more than once, because the editors give great advice for what to do and what not to do. And I think learning what not to do is always super, super important too. So, I know this video was a little different today, but if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.